Hi everybody, welcome. Today we will be having our Dev Studios Ups and Downs Q&A. My name is Christian Hunter, I'm Vesteria Blocks, and I will be moderating. And let's introduce the three studios that we have today to talk to. So we've got Abstract Alex, we've got Bereza, and we have Mighty Baseplate. We also have a lovely crowd. So I'm going to let each of these guys introduce themselves, their studios, and what is going on with them currently. So we're going to start with RedManta.
Hi, I'm Abstract Alex, or Alexander Hicks, the CEO and co-founder of RedManta. So we actually were founded during an internship, and then we incorporated in January of 2018. And we now have 8 people that work with us daily and 12 remote contractors.
Awesome. All right. Next up is Vesteria.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Bereza on Roblox, and I'm the lead of the Vesteria team. We actually also started out as an incubator team at Roblox, and then we got back together in Seattle to form a team. We currently have 4 employees, about a dozen contractors, half of which are 3D modelers in Blender, and we work out of our office in Seattle. We were officially incorporated as a company on March 27th of this year.
Excellent. And finally, we have Rolfe.
Hey, this is a picture of our studio right here. My name's Chris. My username is Mighty Baseplate. I'm one of the lead developers in ROLVe. We have around 7 employees and 10 contractors. We were founded in 2013 as like a fan game group. And some games that we've made are Arsenal, Counterblocks, Robber, and Unit 1968.
All right, so how this is going to work is we have some pre-recorded questions that we are going to ask these guys, and then towards the end, we will open the questions up to the audience. So let's hop right in with, how did your studio get its name? So Chris, why don't we start with you?
My lawyer said I couldn't answer that question.
Following off of Chris's great answer, yeah, we're just a single game company. We used up all of our creative juices when we named Vesteria, so we just named the company after the game.
Yeah, with RedManta, we started when we had Robloxy in high school, although we knew we wanted to have multiple games under this. So one night we just kind of started mashing words together, and we liked RedManta.
All right. So our next question is, what does a typical day look like for you? So Andrew, what's a typical day like in Vesteria?
Well, I try to mix it up so there's no such thing as a typical day at Vesteria. Thanks, Jackson. In the morning, we generally try to figure out what we're doing that day, just make sure we're in sync. But besides that, we like to separate the days into different things. So we might have a day where we all work together on a common feature. We might have a day where we all split off and work on our own projects, or a day dedicated to just building up a bunch of cards on Trello for bugs and just slamming as many out as we can. Generally, we also like to go out on hikes. Seattle is a great area for hiking. There's lots of really awesome trails and nature out there. Really helps to get out away from the city and get a fresh perspective. In general, though, we come in the morning around 9. We stay until 5 or 6 or 10 or 11 or sometimes 2 a.m. if it's a big update the next day. We have cool color-changing lights, so I can turn the office red at night. Really easy on the lights, on the eyes at night. And yeah, it's the same thing we've been doing all our lives, but in an office now.
What about you, Alex? What is a typical day in RedManta?
Yeah, so our headquarters is located in San Mateo, so people that work on site will meet up there in the morning. Then we'll usually have our scrums, go over what we're going to do for the day, talk to our remote contractors. And like Andrew said, you want to mix things up so that it's not the same thing every day because you'll get burnt out pretty fast. So we try to do extracurricular activities outside of the office as well.
And Chris, typical day in Rolfe?
So I'll probably wake up at 1 or 2 p.m. Depending on what we're working on, we'll take it a lot more seriously. So what we end up doing is we all drop into a Discord call. We just chat. We figure out what we're working on. Sometimes we organize ourselves a little bit, and we just work on updates and try and work on new games and stuff.
Sweet. Alrighty. So our next question is going to be, what is it like to work remote versus in person? I think Alex would be a good one to kick this one off to.
Yeah, working in person is definitely more advantageous just because your team members are right there with you. You can communicate and collaborate so much more effectively. When we did not have our office, we found that when we were able to move people in there, we were able to work like at least twice as productive as we were remotely.
Yeah, before this team, I always worked alone on all my projects, and I just contracted certain things out. So this was my first time working with other programmers, and I learned that when you work with other programmers together in person, there's some magic stuff that can go on. You know, we can work in parallel, for example, me and Damien, for a new feature, I'll write all of the client code, he'll write all the server code, and we will have planned in advance how client and server will interact, so we can slam out a feature in like a day. A lot of that's a lot harder, or in some cases not even possible to do when you're working remotely. There's also, you know, if I got fried in the morning doing some feature, I would get behind Damien and we'd just both work together on the same computer. And it really helped because as a scripter, there are little moments where you get stuck. And when there's two people on one screen, it's really easy to just unstuck each other and just keep plowing through something, which is really hard to do remotely. So for us, we actually started out all working together in the incubator, and then we all split off and went remote. And we found it a lot harder to work, and a lot of our processes sort of broke apart when we did go remote. So I definitely recommend working in person whenever possible.
So for us, so working in person is definitely way better because pinging somebody on Discord is not always effective, and people like to be flaky sometimes. And you don't want to be blocked by like assets and stuff. So like, if you need somebody's help but they're asleep in California, or you need somebody's help but I guess just stuff like that, really. When you get blocked by just people not being on, people tend to be more flaky. When you're working in person, you can like turn around and bug them if you need something, which is way better than just pinging them on Discord and they're just playing a game or something. So, and it's also a lot easier to not get distracted because you sort of have to like put yourself to a standard. Like, if you like look to your left and like somebody's like playing a game, you're just like go back to work. And when you're on Discord, people just tend to just melt and pretend that they're in the conversation, but they're actually just playing a game. So in person is definitely way, way, way better.
Alrighty. Next is, if there's one thing you could do over, what would it be? Chris, what would ROLVe do over?
So there was a period of time when Counterblocks was our only popular game, and it was going down in revenue a lot. And one thing that I'd do over is definitely not even let it get to that point, because I think just in general, we weren't taking it very seriously. We were kind of like, oh, the game will last forever. We don't have to touch it, which is a very ignorant approach when it comes to doing stuff like that. So you definitely have to stay on it, even if you don't really want to, like if you want to maintain revenue, and you just got to keep working on it. So I definitely do over, and I wouldn't even let it get to that point.
Andrew?
Yeah, for me, the biggest do-over that I would have done is I would have kept our team in San Mateo after our incubator ended. Because what ended up happening is that we shipped our alpha. It was pretty well received for an 800 Robux alpha. And we had a bunch of momentum. We had figured out a lot of our things. We had awesome workflows. And then we all went off to our corners of the world and went back to school for a semester. And absolutely tanked a lot of our workflow. And we sort of had to relearn how to work together as a team. And we ended up trying to bring everyone back together. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring Damien back because he's Canadian. And there were some issues with that. And we got some of that magic back. But I wish we could have just stayed in San Mateo together. I feel like we would have gotten a lot more done and been in a much better place.
Yeah, if I had a chance to redo one thing with RedManta, it would probably be that we definitely tried scaling too fast initially, and then we weren't able to manage games and build them the way we used to. We figured, we just pile on programmers, things are going to get done fast. That's not how it works at all. So yeah, that's what we would probably redo.
Alrighty. So how do you guys maintain good company culture? Alex, why don't you start with this one?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that you talk to your employees, and this should seem obvious, but it's really easy to just walk in, walk out, and just do work without talking to people about their goals. So talking to your staff about their goals, making sure they understand how they're helping the company reach their goals as well, and then just how they play in the bigger piece of the puzzle, yeah.
Yeah, when there's an issue with culture or how you work together, it's really easy for you to just keep working through it and not realize that there's something about your interactions or something about how you work together that's slowing you down. So you have to make culture something that you actively think about and talk about, and you have to consider it just like another layer of your workflow. Like, how do you interact with each other? How do people feel about each other? And it's really hard to figure out if someone's a good fit before you bring them on, but there's a lot that you can do, once you're all together to make yourselves better fit for each other. And that's something that my team is still, working on, and it's, I think, something that every team is always going to be working on, because no one's absolutely perfect, and there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, I'd say hanging out with each other, making sure people are genuine friends with each other. We got pretty lucky because we all had the same interests, and we've known each other for a super long time, and it's sort of how we met. So we were able to get along really well. We all like the same games. I guess just the same games really. But I guess I can't really think of anything else. They nailed it.
So to follow up on this one, when it comes to having to make those difficult decisions, whether someone's not delivering, whatever it may be, how do you guys handle those tough conversations while still maintaining that good company culture?
Yeah, we've gotten to a point, we've been working with each other for a super long time, so no one takes it personally anymore. Definitely when we were first starting off, I could see that you'd ask somebody for something, and you might have to ask them a couple times, and you have to be more assertive about it. But we just sort of don't let it bother us or affect our relationships at all if we ever need anything to change with them.
I think it also becomes you have to be assertive and point out these issues and have a heartfelt, honest one-on-one sometimes. And I found with my teammates that the longer you've been with them and the more conflicts, I guess, you've had, the easier it is to have these conversations and to make change. I don't think that you can bring someone on right away and be a perfect match with them. And even if you do find an issue, just confronting it might not be enough to fix it. But the more times you have these, I wouldn't necessarily call them confrontations, but these conversations, I think the easier it gets. And you'll keep finding stuff to talk about, but it becomes easier the longer you're with someone.
Yeah, I'd say that if you have to have a hard conversation with someone, it's important to remember they probably want to be their best self as well. And as long as they understand that you're trying to help them get there, then they'll be more open to listening.
Yeah, great answers. So to move on, what could Roblox do to help grow larger studios? Why don't we start with Andrew on this one?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the potential new sources of revenue. I think that right now a lot of the sustainable revenue zone where you're making enough money with your game to actually support a studio just based off that revenue alone, it's very concentrated into the top games, and I think part of that is because of the revenue tools that creators have available to them. I am really interested to see what Roblox offers. The keynote announcement that revenue might be tied to playtime is something that is pretty interesting to me. But I think the main thing is that when you bring developers together, magic happens. I mean, that's why they do RDC. That's why they do the Accelerator Incubator program. So I'm really excited about just developer spaces and just desks, I think, is the best thing that Roblox could do to help studios grow. Just give developers a place where they can form these teams and work together without having to undergo the enormous risk of starting a legal entity and getting an office and flying everyone in and all that. So I'm excited to see what Roblox does with that.
Chris?
Yeah, dev spaces are definitely the coolest thing that I'm looking forward to, is because all three of us have done an accelerator and incubatorship, and that really, I think for all of us, that sort of awoke us and taught us so much. So having these resources is super important. I think everyone should apply for the accelerator internship. It's such a good tool. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about that.
Yeah, I think as Dave was mentioning this morning, the dev spaces is huge just because bringing developers together is so much more effective than being remote. And with RedManta, for example, we have our office in San Mateo. We pay a really high premium just to have an office in the Bay Area, and it'd be a lot easier in the future if there were spaces that devs could use.
Alrighty. Let's keep going with what is next for your studio? What's next for RedManta?
So we're working on a really big expansion of Robloxian High School right now, and we are also looking to get World Zero shipped to beta very soon.
And what's next for Vesteria?
Well, we're at the stage where we're finally getting through a lot of the growing pains associated with just going remote and then coming back together and bringing on new team members, and just the stage we are at with our game. We had to spend a lot of time reevaluating what it is we're doing and why we're doing it. And we're finally, at a place where we're getting back a lot of that momentum that we had when we were in the incubator. So for us, it's about getting our game to a full, international free release, and just keep grinding out on the dream, which is making the MMORPG that we've always wanted to play.
What's next for ROLVe?
We're working on a accelerator project that we're not quite ready to announce yet. So we're gonna have a trailer out for that pretty soon, I think, maybe. Also, we have some big updates planned for Arsenal. And also, we are thinking, I won't say it here. I'll say it on Twitter later. Yeah. You're welcome, Ivan. So yeah, that's what we got some big stuff planned. So we're going to make some announcements soon.
We almost got a spoiler there, everybody. All right, so here's the big question. Are you guys hiring? And if so, what are you hiring for? Chris, are you hiring?
No. Okay, so the reason why we're not hiring is because we're definitely more casual when it comes to it. We want to, we're just definitely super casual when it comes to it. We want to grow, and we're sort of in this phase where we don't really think we need any more people. So what we're going to do is just grow right now, get these new projects out, and go from there for any business ventures or anything.
Yeah, we are hiring, and I think Vesteria is in a very unique position in that we're a team working on a very bleeding edge game, both in some ways technologically speaking and also design. It's a game of a pretty massive and ambitious scale, and personally, an MMORPG is a game that I've always wanted to make, but I never felt that I could by myself. And being a member of this team and being able to work with these really talented people has been so empowering to me. So we are looking for a scripter, someone who preferably has also been the position that I and the rest of the team has been on, of wanting to be a part of this MMORPG but not knowing where to start. If you're a scripter like that who's worked on similar projects, you have some sort of portfolio, come talk to me. I'm going to be open tonight and during Game Jam tomorrow. I'd love to meet you.
Yeah, and you can go to redmanta.games, and we have a list of all of jobs that we're looking for. But we are mainly looking for a gameplay engineer for World Zero right now. So if you like programming skills, combat abilities, that kind of stuff, then definitely come talk to me.
To jump back to Andrew, you said scripter. Is there any specific qualities you're looking for?
There is so much more that we want to do than there is our capacity to do things. So it really depends. We are looking for a very well-rounded individual who has their own ambitions and vision and can create their own projects and follow through on that. We don't really have a specific type of scripter we're looking for, just someone who can fit well with our team, fit well with our vision, and who can work well independently.
Perfect. So that is all of the questions that we have come preset with. Now we're going to open it up to the audience. Audience, do you have any questions for the developer panel? So the question was, what is a feature that Roblox is lacking that makes it difficult to collaborate?
Version control, definitely the biggest blocker there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to answer this as a developer because I don't know. We know that there's a lot of collaboration stuff planned already, and we don't know exactly what is planned. The hardest thing is just, as for me, a team lead, knowing what was changed and when is something that should be easy to do, but it's not. If I could just have a list of all of the script changes that were made in the team create in chronological order, and I could click them and compare the before and after, that would be the most magical thing for me, basically. And that's coming from someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with Git and source control and all that. We tried converting some of our game over to VS Code and Rojo, and we ended up like not going all the way through with it just because it was cumbersome and difficult to sync with our remote scripter, and also because we were in the middle of a hefty update and we didn't want to overcommit to anything. But it is something I'm looking at. I'm a little hesitant now, though, to convert to Rojo because I know that Roblox is bringing its own solution. But I'm definitely excited to hear more about that.
Yeah, definitely version control, because right now, whenever there's this one time somebody updated the game, I don't know who did it, and I was trying to revert versions, but Team Create was, somebody left their studio on all night, and Team Create was like auto-publishing like every 30 minutes. So, and that's not even the annoying part. It's the, I for some reason, all the dates were all scrambled, and the version numbers were in order, but they were all from different dates. So I don't know if that was time zones or something, but that was pretty frustrating.
All right. Question all the way in the back. So the question was, if you were to relocate to San Mateo and you wanted to have good company morale, where would you go in the San Mateo area? Is that correct? Okay.
Shiki.
Yeah, Shiki's pretty good.
So the question was, how do you set priorities in your group? Is it a single individual? Is it the group entirely?
For us, we just have spreadsheets. Whenever like planning an update, we'll make a spreadsheet, invite everyone to it, and people can just throw whatever they want in the spreadsheet. And whenever like somebody throws something on, we'll talk to them about it. Usually they're talking to us while they're putting stuff on the spreadsheet. So we just sort of go off that. We talk about it. It's like, is this something we want? Oh, it's not. Okay, why? And just stuff like that. So we don't really have a producer. I'd say we're all like sort of taking that role and planning, and everyone's opinion just being heard.
Yeah, we actually don't have a really good process for that right now, and it's something that we are talking about and trying to figure out a good way to maybe formalize it. Right now, it's me and Spencer are here. Hi, Spencer. In the office, and Damien remote. So a lot of it's informal. We just talk about like what our goals are for the game, what we want accomplished, and when we see the next update coming out. Generally, we try to keep things coming out in the next update that have something to do with each other or somehow build on each other, instead of just releasing shotgun blast unrelated updates. But there's no formal process to it. We're going to try out a formal process, but it's I think easier to commit to just a more fluid, informal process, but at the same time, there are things that we can do to make that better.
Yeah, so we have our team leads who will lead a project, but they'll also do all of the planning for it as well. At a startup, people wear many hats. This is usually also the engineering lead on a project. So for example, on World Zero, I'll be doing all of the Trello organizing, or on Robloxian High School, Adam Usering manages all the tasks there.
Okay. Right over here.
So we tried doing Jira for a little while, and we just found that Trello was the most efficient option, just in terms of ease and speed.
So just really quick to repeat the question was, how do you organize your tasks? Do you use Trello, Hacking Plan? What tools do you use?
Yeah, Trello on and off. A lot of the times we just go old-fashioned, we whiteboard it. We have a giant whiteboard right next to our desks, and a little old-fashioned in that regard, but we have like 8 different colors of markers and a big whiteboard, so it gives us lots of functionality to do whatever we want planning-wise.
Yeah, we just use spreadsheets and just throw stuff on a spreadsheet.
Right here.
What are your opinions on the current Devex rates?
The question was, what are your current opinions on the Devex rates?
So my opinion there is that I know Roblox does take a very significant cut, but looking back at how I got here and the amount of services Roblox provided, I don't think that would have happened necessarily. So just the amount of services that Roblox provide, I think it's easy to say, you know, this could be converted to this much dollars and I could pay for that myself. But Roblox giving you all those features is what actually lets you and enables you to grow, I find. Yeah.
I think a combination of the Devex rates and the monetization tools available to us as developers creates an environment where it's really hard for you to get, you know, a team like ours off the ground. Our project would, I feel, not be possible without the support of the incubator for 5 months, allowing us to live and work together in San Mateo, and then without my personal funding for my previous games. It creates an environment where it's, if you have a big idea for a game that's more complicated than just a simulator, something that takes, you know, more than one person to make, it's really, really hard to get that off the ground on Roblox. And I think there are things that could be done to make it better. I'm not sure if just increasing the Devex rate alone would make that better, but it is pretty low for the industry, but it's really hard to compare when there are, you know, services that Roblox provides that you can't really get as conveniently elsewhere.
I think I don't have a problem with the current rates, but I think what they should have is Devex without tiers, so you don't have to finagle it and do math and figure out how you're going to Devex this month and are you going to save up for the next tier. So yeah, I think just Devex without tiers would help a lot with that, or it'd be a step in the right direction.
Over here. Let's do Chris, and then we'll do Quinty.
Okay, how are you guys tackling problems with immigration? Roblox is expanding on a global scale. Like you're saying, Damien's from Canada. How are you handling that?
So the question was, how are you handling immigration issues with getting your team all in one space?
Yeah, I mean, immigration's probably been like our biggest blocker because Damien and I developed a really amazing workflow in the incubator. And then when he went back to Canada, he tried to come live in Seattle for 2 or 3 months to hang out with us while we were starting the company. And he was just straight up blocked from entering because he had rented in the US and had a job in the US and done neither in Canada. So they thought he was just going to stay in the US. And they're like, you're not coming. Your apartment rent, sorry. Your deposit, sorry. Your plane ticket, nope. It's definitely a major hurdle. I heard Roblox is considering spaces in Canada, and that made my eyes light up because, you know, I'd fly to Canada to work with Damien. It definitely has been an issue, but it's like at this scale, there's not much we can do about it. We're not going to be able to get him a visa. You know, Roblox was able to get him a J1 visa for the incubator, but Roblox is a 500-employee, billion-dollar company. So it is a problem, and it's unfortunately one that there's not much we can do about.
All right.
I mean, I can add on something, yeah. I'm actually Canadian, but when you found a company, you can get certain visas that let you like do foreign investment and whatnot. As for getting employees that are foreign, that's not something that we can really do either. Although we do have foreign contractors.
All right, Quinty.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're aware of all the other studios and competition stuff. Which studio do you admire, and like what trait about them do you admire the most?
The question was, which studio do you admire the most, and what is it about them that you admire?
Is this a Roblox studio or like a? Yeah, definitely RedManta. Because I think they were on the forefront of that, so that was pretty exciting to see that all play out. So, and that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I think my answer is the same. I mean, RedManta was the first, and you know that comes with a lot of responsibilities, and that's you know, they broke new ground, and you know, I think they'll be in the history books for that. And you know, there's a lot to be learned from other studios, and I'm really excited to see, you know, more of them come up. But I mean, I think RedManta, and I don't know any other ones that have offices right now. So yeah, got to give it to Alex for everything they've done.
And yeah, we're big fans of Vesteria. It seems like we're working on similar games, like doing the exact same thing. But no, we talk a lot. We're friends, yeah. So we let each other know what we're doing.
Yes, right here.
So I'm part of a newer studio, and we're starting to see success. So
So the question asker is part of a new studio and they are seeing success and they are wondering when they should start their expansion.
Have you guys worked in person yet? You guys should try that. I think you should try that first and see where that goes. And if you guys continue to find success, you guys should definitely expand that.
Any other? Neither of you had any thoughts?
I think Chris got it great. If you're still remote, try bringing, maybe not everyone, but try working in person. Apply for the Accelerator Incubator program if you haven't already. Like, that's amazing. I know that's what Chris's team is doing. You know, you want to be careful not to bring on too many people while you're remote because things might get complicated if you do decide to work in person. But I think in general, Chris got it down. For me personally, I would just expand whenever I felt like we could, and that we would get more done if we would expand, basically. Because you don't want to grow too fast. You don't want to run into a situation where you get more people than you can manage, your culture goes out of control. So when you think that bringing someone else on could help you get more done, do it, but do it slowly, spend your time. It's worth it trying to find like the really good people for that.
Brett over here.
Do you guys ever run into issues with people on your teams having differing opinions about game design or features, and how do you deal with that?
The question was, do you ever have issues where someone else on your team has a conflicting opinion on game design, and how do you resolve that?
Yeah, when we were doing our incubator at Roblox, we resolved that by throwing everyone into a meeting room, and lots of arguing and shouting would ensue for sometimes up to 5 hours. For some of these famous meetings, we would bring in guest stars like Widgeon, for example, to help us whenever there was a really difficult tie to break. But in general, like, to me, I understand that game design is something that no one has all the answers to, and I understand that everyone on the team is very passionate about it. So I like to be able to have, you know, heated arguments and discussions about what the right thing is to do without taking it personally, and I think that's the way to do it. I think fighting for ideas and just disconnecting ideas from, you know, personal stuff and letting the best ideas win is a great thing to do.
Yeah, I think Andrew really touched on that, but another, I guess it's important to remember that also the opposite problem is you can have too many ideas, and that's something that often happens on World Zero, is we just have so many ideas, so many things we want to add, and then we have to figure out what's actually going to be the right thing to do. Is this going to affect our end game users? Is this going to bring in new users? So that's actually where we end up having more of our debates, I find. And same idea, we just go in our meeting room and talk it out for sometimes hours.
Yes, right here.
How do you go about starting up new projects or new games under new companies?
The question was, how do you go about starting up new games or projects for your studio?
We've only started one project, additional project, since founding the studio, so I can't really give you an answer for how we would make a process here. Yeah.
A couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, Deepak told me I need to make a new game and I need a team or else I'm not getting into the incubator. And that's how it happened.
Right here.
Quick question. So, not necessarily full-time employees, but just for general contracting, do you guys usually just stick to the Roblox community, or do you have to use other freelancing services like Upwork? I'm sorry.
No worries. So the question was, for contracting work, do you stick to the Roblox community, or do you also go to external sources such as Upwork, freelancers?
We usually stick to members in our community, and Roblox community members. But sometimes, like if we need a 3D model real quick, we'll buy it on like a 3D model website. Some of them are pretty cheap. You get licensing from them and everything. So, like if we ever need something real quick, we'll just drop $10 and buy that barrel or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Roblox ecosystem has grown with the platform, and we're able to hire basically everyone on our team from Roblox. I mean, even our music composer is from Roblox, which is awesome. Shout out to Beastlick. The only person on our team who's off of Roblox was our sound effects guy, who was someone that Beastlick actually recommended to us. But besides that, we have Blender, 3D modelers, animators, artists, all from Roblox, who just grew up playing the platform and just creating into the ecosystem in their own way.
So we tried Upwork before for some 3D modeling, and we found that the passion just wasn't there. Like maybe you save a decent amount of money, but you're probably going to end up redoing the same asset multiple times. Whereas if you pick someone from your community who was already really passionate about your game and knew the game, knows Roblox, then you end up saving a lot of time and money as well.
Right here.
What do you guys find is the best way to start learning programming development? There's not that many good resources out on it.
So when I started programming, it was in September 2009, so there was literally nothing to learn off of. And just picking apart free models is how I did all of it.
Just really quickly to repeat the question, it's how do you learn programming?
Yeah, around the same time, around the same answer. I actually will hijack that question as an opportunity to say that it's really hard, I think, if you're a new creator on Roblox, to find high-quality models and scripts through the toolbox. When I first started, that's how I learned. I wanted zombies, I searched zombies. I wanted guns, I searched guns. And for some reason at the time, the highest quality models were the ones that came at the top. And for whatever reason, that's not really the case today. But I think searching through what other people have done, maybe games that have been open sourced, is a great way to learn. I think that's how a lot of people learn, just looking at how other people did something you want to do and making tweaks to it or remaking it in order to do what you want it to do.
Yeah, definitely picking apart and combining free models, because one story that I do remember is for a character selector thing, I took a morph and then I also put a teleport script in the morph part. So you could select your character and then teleport in the game. I barely knew how to script, but I was able to just sort of piece stuff together and just figure it out. And
Can I jump on that? Yeah. He was a lot more advanced than I was. When I made a game with classes, what I did was I took a teleport brick, and then I took a brick from a giver that gives you a tool, and I just mashed them all together so that when you stepped on them, it would give you your class and teleport you all at once, and didn't open a single script. Yeah, it only worked half the time, but I thought it was awesome. But yeah, just free models is a great way to learn. They used to have a bad rap, but I don't think people really talk about it much anymore because they're not really relevant as much because of the toolbox. But it's a great way to learn, just picking apart what other people have already done.
That awkward moment when you teleport but don't get your tool.
Tragedy.
Yeah, right here.
From a high level, how do you structure your financials? Because I know the Roblox to dollars is kind of confusing. Limits, that sort of thing.
Yeah, as Alex said, when you're a startup founder, you have to wear a lot of hats. And in terms of financial planning, basically the bare minimum. I'm personally, a game developer, a game designer at heart, so I'm not a businessman. We don't really have any businessmen on our team. And we're also at a stage where there's not really that much money involved that we stand to benefit from, pristine financial planning. I think that, I don't know, I think that's something that's more for companies that are in the position of Adopt Me's team, where they have a big game and, they already have a substantial source of revenue and are expanding. Yeah.
I meant kind of more how do you pay employees
Oh.
for the office?
Yeah. So 100% of the money goes to the company, and then people just get their paychecks. We use QuickBooks Online for payroll for the employees, and then we actually use Topology for our contractors, which is what Roblox uses for Devex. We got a starter license with them, and all of our contributors just put in all of their info through Topology, and however they want to get paid, they get paid. There have been hurdles, there have been things that came up that prevented us from getting payments out on time in some cases, but in general, it's worked better than just trying to PayPal everyone, and they handle all the tax stuff for you too, so when the tax man comes along, you're not scrambling for paper.
Just to repeat the question, it was how do you handle your financials with you making Robux, but then turning those Robux into cash?
yeah, so what we do is we just pay out our developers Robux, and they have to deal with everything themselves. So we haven't done the math on it to see if that's the optimal way to do it, but we're gonna talk to like accountants and stuff and figure out what's the most optimal way to do it.
And for RedManta, we have a back-end accounting firm who will handle all the compliance and making sure people get paid on time, taxes, that sort of deal.
All right, it looks like that's all the time we have, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.